And we're back again.
Okay, the next topic in question that we received, I should say under the topic that we categorized as pay freeze and negotiations. And again, this is a very, very heated topic on our Facebook page and on other members' Facebook pages, and it has caused quite a stir. Again, let me just get into the pay freeze. What exactly? Well, first question here says, will you accept the pay freeze? And the answer is absolutely not. Okay, no one on this team here will ever accept a pay freeze. Okay. And next question is, explain how the pay freeze hurt members. Well, this is how a pay freeze hurts members. All right. So back in, again, I'm going to use the example 2012, 2013, when the association decided or agreed upon to take the pay freeze. I don't believe many of the members are aware of how a pay freeze really hurts you in the long run. And I don't believe that, when it was presented at that time by one of the candidates who was running for office, again, I don't believe that it was presented thoroughly and truly explained as to, these are the cons of a pay freeze. It was more or less, hey, we have to take the pay freeze for X, Y, and Z. Hey, we're getting X amount of money the next year and X amount of money the next year, and this is a great deal, and jump on and so on. Again, back in 2012, 2013, for that time when we did take the pay freeze, I will tell you that NJEA was not in favor of any pay freeze. Keep in mind, yes, these were the Chris Christie days, and we had central office and administrators, trying to coerce unions into taking a pay freeze. But again, NJEA was adamant about not taking a pay freeze. So again, we didn't have to take a pay freeze. Again, we chose to. Now, let me just get into how a pay freeze hurts you. All right, a pay freeze hurts you by this. All right, for one, once you take a pay freeze, you never recoup that money that you were supposed to recoup. All right, for the remainder of your career, if you stay in Hackensack. So again, you have constantly lost money. You never recoup that money.
So in other words, Mike, like how much do you think a typical member, like at the top of the scale, like people who've been working 14 years, what do you think it dinged them for that first year?
Ted, again, I'd have to see specific numbers and so on, but again, it would be in the thousands that they have lost over their career since.
But how about the 1 year, the first year you take a pay freeze? Because I think a lot of people, I think the mentality is, oh, a pay freeze, it's just 1 year. And I think they misunderstand that they lose out in that year after year after year and how it accumulates. Right. So even if we just put a fake approximate number, like if it hurts somebody, pick a number roughly.
Well, again, let's say, for example, you were supposed to get $1,000 that year, right?
Okay, so you didn't just lose $1,000.
Right, so you lost, again, this is a very complex, a very complex thing to do is to, present or to go through the components and how a salary guide works. But we have increment involved, and again, increment is the monies that is built in the guide already from when you move step to step, right? So if you were to move from, let's say, step 12, and again, I'm not using our guide, this is hypothetical. If you were to move from step 12, if you were on step 12 and you were supposed to move to step 13, there might have been an increment cost that was built in there of $2,000, $3,000.
Yeah, those are the bigger jumps.
So, because you didn't move, you lost that money.
By a year, yep.
You lost that money. And not only did you lose that money for that year, you lost that money going forward for the rest of your career.
Right. So that pay freeze didn't just hurt us for 1 year.
No,
it's a cumulative effect that hurts you.
A pay freeze impacts cumulative lifetime earnings. And it also impacts the amount of money that you end up with for your pension calculations. So again, a pay freeze is not just, hey, we're taking a pay freeze and, hey, just suck it up for 1 year. No, this hurts you and follows you throughout your career, and it messes with the final calculation of your pension, right? That's what you're going to live on when you retire.
Can I just say that I was in a district that had a pay freeze,
Right.
and the mentality was just that, well, it's just a couple of thousands of dollars, we can live without it because we're getting X, Y, and Z, or we still have a job, that kind of thing.
Right.
First of all, it does not just affect, your ending for your pension, and it does not just affect your career in Hackensack. Two things. If you were going to stay in Hackensack and you were going to reach a bubble, which we call this in the other district, where you
Right.
would receive a couple $1,000s.
Which again, Karen, if I may, what I mentioned when I said, an increment cost. A bubble, there could be some bubbles within an increment cost. So just for clarification, go ahead.
Yeah, you're not going to reach that. And in fact, that did occur here in this district with one of my friends. So you think about that. That's not just a couple $1,000s. That's a huge impact. But also, if you were to go to another district, as I've been in other districts, when they ask you what you last were making, and they can easily check that, you're going to be making significantly less. So even when they go to get rehired somewhere, that's going to affect you.
Right. And the other thing I want to talk about is, this candidate who is running for office, he was the vice president and the negotiation chairperson at this time. Again, if you were a negotiations chairperson, you should be knowledgeable about this. And there should be no way that we should be trying to sell this to the membership to take a pay freeze because of all the negativity that I just spoke about and also Karen spoke about. But also, if you are a negotiations chairperson, you were supposed to be trained by the NJEA, right? And if you were trained by the NJEA and you follow the NJEA's best practices, there is no way you should have taken a pay freeze or even agreed to it, in conversation, off record, on record, any way you look at it.
So, Mike, hold for a second. My internet dropped a little bit. Sorry, my internet dropped, so I lost. Good. Pause for a second, please. My internet dropped.
Okay. Understood.
Okay, sorry, I might have lost like 30 seconds. I don't know what was talked about. Just hold a second. Okay, we're back.
Okay, so again, when we talk about negotiations, we are to follow NJEA guidelines for negotiations and best practices because they're, again, they have much experience with best practices because they do negotiations for literally hundreds of districts throughout New Jersey. And by taking the pay freeze, we went directly against best practices number 2 and best practices number 5. And I'd like to read you the best practices number 2. Number 2 is that by taking a pay freeze, it takes one longer to move through the guide. One of NJEA's best practices is let's make people move through the guide faster, all right, so that they could reach the top step, all right. And then and number 5 was NJEA's best practices is we need to increase career earnings, as well as pension earnings, like I mentioned before. So again, this was completely against best practices. And again, let's just go, not to focus in on it any longer. But again, we are going into negotiations, all right? People still have that sour taste in their mouth about what happened back in 2012, 2013. And that's why this question came up. And again, rest assured, Team Deorio will say no, absolutely no to a pay freeze. All right, another question that came up. Let me just let me pull it up. The other question regarding negotiations was this. I guess this is I guess it's power related. Says last contract, the para's prep time was reduced from 40 minutes to 20 minutes. Why did this happen? Again, why did it happen? All I can tell you is that during that round of negotiations last time, Central Office Administration and Board of Education wanted to get rid of para prep time completely. Their rationale was that paras are not prepping. They are not teachers, so what are they prepping for? Right? They also presented to me many examples of where they had paras leaving the school buildings during quote-unquote prep time. They had people stepping out to take a smoke during prep time. They had people who went home during prep time. They had people who were sitting out on park benches during prep time. Okay? Prep time is just that. It's time to prep for classes. It's not free time. And again, that abuse that occurred put us in that position. And again, that's very hard to defend when they had the evidence, to prove their claims. So again, the Board of Ed and Central Office administrators wanted to get rid of it completely. I was the one who said, listen, we can't get rid of it completely because we still have teachers who depend on the paras to make copies, and to, organize folders in classrooms and whatnot. So please, we need to keep at least half of their prep time. We can't give them all of it. And again, the board was adamant again, we are not going to settle until we get this. And I fought like hell to save half of para prep time. So that's how it went down. You can hear rumors, you can hear whatever else. Again, you're hearing the facts. And again, I was the one who saved that 20 minutes of para prep time.
20 is better than 0.
That's correct. Let's cut.